Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Thursday, the 14th of Jumadul Akhirah 1445, corresponding with the English date 28th of December 2023. Hazrat Wala is saying people come here from so far, and in Bombay the same used to happen, that people would come from far off areas and they would come early, and Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib would look at them, and then he would see this type of preparation going on there, and then he would say to us, referring to our Hazrat Wala, that should we not now start getting ready, etc. And then he would see how they put up those screens or those tents and get the charpais, etc., seating place for people to sit. And he would look at all of that and he would say, see what type of intizam they are making so that people can have some type of comfort and they would not be distressed by the sunlight completely and directly upon them. He would become deeply affected by this and he would alert us. And then he would go on to say that we are sitting here and these people have come. He would take great lesson from all of this. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of making qadr of our time. Now Hazrat Wala is saying, I was looking at the newspapers and I see and I can understand what is happening in the Mamalik Islamiyya, the Islamic countries, what type of zulam, etc., and what is actually going there. Being deeply affected, I could not even sleep for a long while. Allah Ta'ala give us all afiyat. Allah Ta'ala give us tamam Musalmano ko sukoon se rehne ki tawfiq de. Give us the hidayat, all the Muslims, of staying with sukoon and peace. Mulk pareshan hai. One country, thousands of people are all restless and are all in a difficult state. But in all these type of halat, trial, tribulation, test, etc., even now there are so many who have their ta'alluq with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala out of His grace and His mercy keep us steadfast. Now here Hazrat Wala is saying this letter of Maktub of Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom, which Hazrat Wala is going through, which is addressed to Sheikh Hamid, dua wa salam, after greeting, etc. He goes on to say to him that apne ahwal likhne se ghafil na ho, that do not become negligent about writing your spiritual conditions. Now, if a person doesn't write and inform, how would that physician then come to know? He has to write and inform so the person then can understand well and then guide him along. Now this is very, very important in tariq and in this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Kuch to tawajjuh. We should have some type of attention towards this. Now, ada-e ta'at wa ibadat mein khoob mashghool raho. Become completely and totally engaged in ta'at, the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the ibadat, acts of worship. And when it comes to be in the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then prepare yourself completely and totally. Qamar himmat को अच्छी तरह बांध लो. आज का दिन काम का दिन है, कल का दिन उजरत का दिन है. Today is the day of doing work, the day of doing ibadat, and tomorrow would be the day of getting our rewards. Now at the time when we're supposed to be doing our work, at that time to be waiting for rewards, that will actually keep us away from the original and the essence, and that is to do work and the ibadat and the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't be behind and following in fulfilling your khidmat. Do not be behind ladhat, that you are finding the sweetness, etc. If Allah Ta'ala gives you that sweetness and you are finding that kayf and spiritual state, then it is a great ni'mat. And if Allah Ta'ala does not give it, then too do not leave out ibadat. So बंदगी से मकसूद वो मेहनत व मशक्क़त है. And in our worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we would have to undergo, there would be mehnat and there would be mashaqqat. There would be this year of going against the grain of the nafs. Not that there should be peace, comfort and luxury, etc. Yes, what that ladhat and that rahat and comfort and sweetness which comes from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is something altogether different. It is a different discussion altogether. But we should not be seeking that. So this sweetness, etc., it is an atiyah, it is a gift, this spiritual state while carrying out ibadat, it is an atiyah and a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, when not receiving that, we should not bring our ibadat to a stop. And in trying to achieve and carrying out your obligations, we should do it full with our hearts and our minds, make that complete and total effort. Keep your hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He would give a salvation, ummeed najat, have hope of najat and the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this obedience that you are carrying out actually is from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Understand it that way. Rather, He is giving you the tawfiq and the hidayah to do it. Attribute it to Him and understand well that in all of this year you could not do anything. You do not have any might and any power to do anything. So, by doing that, you would keep yourself away from pride and ujub, self-conceitedness, that you understand that there to be your own earning and you do not understand it to be tawfiq from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather, it should be this way here, that a person does ta'at, acts of obedience, and together with that he's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness, that it is not in accordance with the high rank and the position and the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So with that, doing obedience and to have that nadamat and that sorrow and grief and regret with you, and due to that you are making istighfar, slowly you would be able to understand, and it will be a great cure for your pride and your self-conceitedness. And actually this year would then make your a'mal worthy of being accepted. That on one hand you are carrying out a'mal, number two, you are understanding it to be a gift from Allah, number three, you are making tawbah and istighfar over your ibadat, which is not in accordance to the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A Buzruk once mentioned that nek amal kar or istighfar kar, that do good deeds and seek the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tariqa bandagi yahi hai. This is actually the path of worship and truly worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we saying do work, what should Hazrat Wala quotes these couplets? Kar kun kar, kar kun kar, baguzar az guftar, ka andari ra kar darad kar. That do work and stop talking. Leave all the talking and abandon that. Rather do what you have to do in this path. What you have to do is you have to make mehnat, you have to do work, you have to do the ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now Hazrat Wala is saying, Subhanallah, to say Subhanallah once is so great that this entire world cannot contain the reward of one Subhanallah. Now, if you look at this Malfuz and this Maktub, which Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom is writing to one of his students, you will understand the way he is speaking, ke tariq unke samne thi. देख रहे थे और सुना रहे थे. That tariq, this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was opened up in front of them. He was looking at the tariq and accordingly he was talking and giving hidayat to the people. And the person who has been blessed and bestowed, then you would able to understand from the way and the style that they are presenting it, it is completely and totally different. Now here they spoke about ujub and self-conceitedness as well. Now this is a very, very important masala in suluk and tasawwuf. Nevertheless, we should do good deeds and we should understand weakness to be within us. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of making amal. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.